Hey everyone, welcome to our Blender Beginner series. So this whole series is broken up into 6 different chapters. So in chapter 1, we'll look at how to do all the modeling, so taking basic primitive shapes inside Blender and creating more complex 3D assets. And then chapter 2, we'll have a look at how to UV unwrap all of our models so that we can take it into texturing, which we'll cover in chapter 3. Then chapter 4, we'll look at our lighting and our cameras before we start looking at some surface imperfections. And then finally, we'll do rendering and compositing. So there are some resources that you need to download to be able to follow along. So if you click the link in the description of the video, you will find all the reference images we use to actually model everything. There's also a file of all the custom decals I've created that you can use inside the scene, and there's also an ebook that talks through the whole process as well, so you can either follow along to the videos or you can follow along to the ebook as well. It covers the same things. If you've got any questions about anything as you're going through it, leave a description comment in the video that you're struggling with, and I'll get back to you. Hello, welcome back to part 5 of the Blender Beginning series. So far we've modelled our table, chairs, lamp, and a spray paint can that we've duplicated a few times. So we're going to start modelling a couple of permanent markers and then a pair of glasses and that sort of thing to add to our table. So I'm going to come to the front view by pressing that key that's just above the tab key. So I come to the front, Shift A to add. Let's go to image and reference. And we'll grab this permanent marker first. I'll scale this down a little bit. Now I'm going to go to mesh and I'm going to add a cube. Now I know that the measurement for this, the length should be 13.5 centimeters. That's how tall this pen needs to be. I'll press N to close that menu again. So I'm going to go Shift Z just to go to X-ray mode, and then grab that reference image and just S to scale, just so I can use the cube as a reference for how big I want it to be, something like that, and delete that cube. So we've now got this reference image that is the right size. I'm going to move it back a bit by going G and Y, and I'm also going to turn down the opacity a little bit so it's not so bright. Okay, so I've got one of those pens in front of me. So you see it's made of 3 parts. So you've got the main body, then you've got the plastic bit before the tip, and then you've got the lid. So nice and simple. But what we're going to do is Shift A, mesh, and start with a cylinder. Shift Z to go to X-ray mode. I'm going to S to scale and make it smaller. Bring this in, make it the right dimension, something like that. Tab to go to edit mode. I'm going to grab these bottom vertices here and drag down. I'm going to hit E to extrude and drag it down, and then S to scale to round that off a little bit. Now we want to round that off, but before we do that, we've played with the scale. So then we need to go Control A to apply all transforms. Come to the front. Let's grab that edge there, Control B to bevel, and we're going to do something like that. We probably don't need that many segments, something like that. Let's grab the bottom face there, and then we're going to grid fill. And remember, if you haven't got that on your quick menu, come to face, grid fill, right click, and then add to your quick favorites, like that. So that's the bottom part of our pen. What we're then going to do is come to the top bit up here, GZ to come up. I'm going to select that face, E to extrude, I to insert, sorry, E to extrude and to bring down, and just delete that face there, and then holding down Alt and Shift, grab these 2 edges, Control B to bevel, change that segment to 2, it needs to be smaller than that, we'll do something like 0.2. So that's going to be the main body of our pen. So we then want to do where the actual tip starts to come in. So what we're going to do is select it, go to 3 to go to face mode, hold on Alt and select this ring of faces, Shift D to duplicate it, and move it up a little bit on the Z axis like that. Come to the front, grab this, GZ, move it up to something like that, and hit F to fill. Now it's red because it's inside out, so if we select it all and go Shift N to recalculate normals, and we also haven't separated it yet, so we're going to select, go Tab and 3 and A to select all the faces, P to separate by a loose part, so that's now a separate piece. So what we're then going to do is let's I to insert and bring that up a little bit. something like that. And then what we'll do is let's grab these two edges, bevel, and see how that is looking. By adding a subdivision surface. Okay, not quite. Let's just undo that quickly. So what we're going to do is let's bevel this face a little bit. A bit less than that. And then let's grab these E, Z to bring up like that. Now we want to make that flat, so we can go to S and Z to scale it flat like that. And then we can X and delete those faces. Come to the front, make that a little bit taller, I think. G, Z. And then what we're going to do is hit F to fill, I to insert, E to bring down, and delete that face. And then we can just add a bevel to these two edges. Change those segments to 2. So we've got what looks like the tip of our pen. Something like that, but let's add a subdivision along here as well. Let's see how that looks. Okay, let's just get rid of that edge there. We're then going to bevel along like that. Do a little bit of a bevel like that. Okay, so we've got that part. We're then going to do the tip of our pen. So I'm going to do Shift D, Z to bring it up a little bit. Then let's grab this into the front, G, Z to bring up, S to scale it in, and then we're going to do Q, oh sorry, let's do F to fill, G, Z, oh, we need to separate that first, so we're going to select it all, P to separate by selection, oh sorry, no, separate by loose parts, so we can bring this up, bring that down. Made that a little bit too tall, I think. So what we can do is bring that down. Let's turn off proportional editing. There you go, something like that. Now again, it's back to front, so we can correct our normals by doing Shift N, like that. And let's grab this edge here, Control B to bevel. Something like that. And again, let's grid fill like that. So we've got the makings of our pen. Bring that up just a little bit like that. That tip maybe needs to be a little bit taller. GZ. There you go, something like that. So we've got the lid, or sorry, we've got the tip of our pen. I'm going to give this a save. We're then going to do the lid of our pen. So let's go Shift A and add a cylinder. X-ray mode by going to Shift Z. Bring this into position. Like that. GZ to bring up. Control R to add some edge loops so that we can slowly start to shape this how we want. Something like that. Because we've scaled it, Control A to apply our transforms. Control B to bevel. Like that. Let's bevel this a little bit as well. We're going to isolate so that we can also make the actual part where the pen will go in. We're pressing I, E to bring up, X, delete those faces. With 2 for edges selected, hold down Alt and click these 2 edges. Control B to bevel. I'll do like 0.3. So there we've got the startings of our lid, like that. Now obviously we want to have the actual, like the clip that it comes out from. Now we're going to need a few more extra edges or geometry to deal with for that. So we're going to add some edge loops. So I'm going to come up, Control R, and then we're going to add a couple of extra edge loops like that. So I'm going to come to the left, and then let's grab as close to the middle as we can get. So we're going to do something like that. Come to the front, E to bring out, like that. I'm going to S, X, 0, so I can scale it flat like that. And then what we're going to do is Control R to add edge loops. To have one there. I want to straighten that out, so S, X, 0, so that's straight. And then what we're going to do is let's grab, first of all, let's round off here. So we're going to do Control B to bevel. Round that off. And then we can turn those into quads again, because if you see here, we've now got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we can quite easily come across that. Let's take that and merge those at last. So selecting one, then the other, and pressing M to merge. And then we can easily grab that and hit J. That becomes 4-sided again, like that. Then we're going to grab down here, we're going to hit E to extrude, E to bring down, like that. So now we just need to round these shapes off a little bit. So again, let's grab these edges here, Control B to bevel, like that. Let's get rid of these vertices, and then what we can do is J to join, J to join. That becomes 1, 2, 3. It sets up 5, so we don't want that. So we'll do Control R to add an edge loop. Oh, before we do that, sorry, we're going to get the same here. Let's get rid of these. So let's join along there. We're also going to want to join those. That becomes 4. That becomes 4 as well. Do the same on this side. Like that. We don't need this edge here, so we could dissolve this edge. Okay, and then let's have a go at rounding all these corners off, selecting everything along here. Making sure we get all the edges we need. And then get underneath there as well. Then we go Control B. That's far too big, so let's do like 0.3. Okay, we missed an edge there. Try that again, Control B. So like 0.3. Now we do need to make sure that we're going to get these horrible corners, so we're going to change that to arc, like that. And then what we can do is let's add extra edge loops in like that, so we can join those in, and then we can join those by pressing J. And that turns those into quads. that. And just check everywhere else is looking fine. And then what we can do, let's check generate subdivision surface, shade smooth, and then we've got the lid of our pen. So that is our Sharpie pen done. Let's just come to the front. We're going to move this for a second. So we've got that under there. We're going to delete our reference image. Let's generate subdivision surface, shade smooth, and then we've got our permanent marker. So like before, we're going to go to Shift A, empty and cube, S to scale, make it smaller. GZ, SX, SY, select all of it and then deselect and then select that again, Control P and keep transforms. So now we've got our pen. I'm going to duplicate this a couple of times just so we've got it. Come to the top. RX90. Just something like that. GZ to bring down. And maybe we even bring the lid off so it looks like it's like that. Let's set origin geometry so we can rotate it a little bit. There you go, something like that. So we've got a pen. We're not gonna put these on there because my plan is next we'll do like a little jar and have loads of like pens scattered around and that sort of thing. So we'll stop there. So that was modeling a few more smaller assets. We've maybe got what we're going to do. We're going to do a jar, we'll do a little craft knife, glasses, that sort of thing. So maybe we've got 4 or 5 more other little things to model before we start moving on to texture and everything. So hopefully you're enjoying following along, and I'll see you in the next video.